Welcome and greetings. This is a 2009 Kawasaki ER6N. Just a couple years old. This one has over 16,000 miles on the clock, and it has been, let's just say, tested. No, it's just been beat on. Not necessarily by me, but one or two of the previous owners like to do the hooligan stuff. No complaints, I got it for a price. You know me, I like a project. You know, I had to do the chain, of course. It's my favorite thing to do. Drained or cycled out the coolant, put in fresh engine ice, with the brakes, tires. Well, this is the ER6N. The 6 is for the 650 parallel twin engine under here. Here we can look at some of the nice scratches. If you see a scratch, you know it's been laid down. Yep, here's another scratch. Took off the bar ends, we'll get into that later. This is normally blue, and actually the scratches come through the paint there. Well, this engine makes about 72 horsepower. Not sure now. Probably less. 48 foot-pounds of torque. And yes, this is a real tank up top here. So your full tank center of gravity will be different from an empty tank. This was my daily driver. You know, I didn't pretty it up at all. Just kind of came out and letting you guys know how it goes. It's got some nice beefy brakes, Ninja 650 style. Enough stopping power. That power gets, and torque, gets this over 430 pounds of motorcycle down the road nicely. None of the fancy LEDs of the newer bikes. Again, this is from 2009. Although, you might not know that just by looking. The styling is not that bad. The fuel tank is 4.1 gallons of capacity. This is a cable clutch. So for new riders, this is a nice and easy setup. One of the, yeah, never mind, I'm not a fan of adding certain things, but like I said, previous owners did their damage to the bike, literally and figuratively. But when you take a seat, yes, it is a banana seat, I apologize. Coming to take a seat, it is a narrow bike. The mirrors are about 31.25 inches. That's the widest part of this bike. The engine, so the other side of the, okay, here's the transmission case, widest spot, other side of the transmission, the 6-speed transmission, is 16 inches wide. Obviously the cowling comes out further, but when you're talking about mass and the fact that the weight does come up, you know, it doesn't need too much assistance tipping over, which can be a good thing, especially on a bike. This is the stock exhaust. It's good enough for me. I can hear it, and it's not the ugliest sound. At an idle, I think it's pretty ugly, but once it gets up in the rev range, it's a hoot, as they say. You can start it up. My favorite thing about the Kawasaki bikes actually are the transmissions. pigtail for the battery. Charge it up. The battery is going, so I'm happy it started. I believe the fuel mileage I was getting out of this bike was in the 40s. And as far as handling, I do have the Pirelli Angels Sport Touring tires on this bike with very few miles on them. Like I said, this is a hooligan bike. With the age and the fact that it's a standard and not a race replica, the insurance rates might be better. Testing out the rear brake there. No ABS. No linked brakes. So you actually have to learn how to use them. Chain drive, like I mentioned, I had to replace that. I like the naked style. My use case is in the city. You know, I'm not cruising the interstate for hours. I had a different bike for that, actually, because the wind is just too much, at least for me, on a bike like this. Not my style. I kind of like it better with these little guys black. At a certain angle, it kind of looks knobbish, as they say. I don't know what, just odd, bulbous. There we go. But with my experience on my previous Honda bikes, oh yeah, so here's your speedo on top. We're neutral. In stock form, there's no gear indicator, which I don't think is necessary. Fuel gauge, your RPMs, and you got your odometer, trip, and clock set up. I have heated grips just because I was daily driving it. You know, we got scratches on the tank up here and a couple dents, but if you can find one for the right price, I'd say go for it. And without too many miles, I think if you look at a motorcycle to purchase that's known for a certain crowd, like, I don't know if I would want to buy a used Grom, just due to the nature that, well, they're pinned at full throttle for most of the time. For me here in the city, I kind of treat this as a V-twin. Don't worry, I don't